Had some developing news within just the last 10 minutes or so. As we wait the beginning of this coronation ceremony, the leader of anti-monarchist movement Republic has been arrested. Graham Smith and 6 other demonstrators were detained as they tried to unload a lorry load of flags in Trafalgar Square. There is a huge security operation, of course, around today's historic events. There you can see Graham Smith in his yellow anorak being led away by police. We've been getting fresh reports from our correspondents on the ground in the Mall and elsewhere of Republican protesters unfurling huge yellow, quote, "Not my king" flags. Police have also been removing anti-monarchist placards from some and taking glue away from eco-warriors who are trying their best to disrupt the day, David.
Well, more than 29,000 police officers are on duty and a further 10,000 military personnel are on hand. This is all part of something called Operation Golden Orb. It's the ring of steel thrown around the coronation. Hundreds of thousands of people are expected to travel to central London to watch the procession, and that extensive security plan is in place to ensure that all of this goes smoothly and that nothing can spoil the big day. Well, joining us now in the studio is Parm Sandhu, a former Metropolitan Police detective. Really good to see you again. Just in terms of this police operation, Operation Golden Orb, we talked then about 29,000 police officers. I mean, just in terms from the Met, this is the biggest, if certainly one of the biggest, if not the biggest event ever mounted by the police. On top of that, you've obviously got all the forces involved as well. We've been talking about the use of facial recognition technology, the change to the public order acts and so on. Give us a sense from your perspective and, of course, your background as to what will be going on with the police operation.
This event has been planned for many, many years, and it would have been decades in the making. And every time that there's a ceremonial event, the funeral, the Jubilee celebrations, it would have been reviewed and looked at again and again. And even with the security incident that happened last week, or a couple of days ago, that would have been built back into the plan. But one thing we all need to know is that it's not just the Met Police. This is police officers from right up and down the country, and also with security personnel. But to make today really safe, it's the crowd as well. It's the public being vigilant and making sure that if they see something, that they alert the nearest police officer. And in relation to those police officers, it's not just the uniform side. There are plainclothes officers, there are drones, there are dogs, horses, you name it. Everybody is on duty today.
And I suppose it's the eyes and ears of the public that are actually more important in some ways, so they can alert the police to something that looks suspicious and so on. But actually, we were talking earlier about the public coming together. They want this to go really well, and of course the vast majority do. And so therefore I sense there is a real camaraderie amongst the crowds that are gathering as well.
I'm also interested to know, Palm, what you make of the interplay between organisations like Republic and the police. The police will have been very aware, I imagine, of what Republic was doing today. We're watching that video, Graham Smith being arrested by officers. It sort of almost looks like it's what everyone expected, and of course it's what Republic wanted.
It's almost like it's been rehearsed.
Yes.
And we're unsure yet of what the grounds were for that arrest, and that'll come out later. The legislation only came in last week, so it's very, very new, and it will be tested in the courts. And whatever any senior officer says about having a low threshold, the officers who are making that arrest have to justify it in court. They have to be accountable, and that will come out in the near future.
But in terms of the new law being passed, that helps them, doesn't it? Because, of course, it talks about recklessly or willfully actually obstructing this ceremony. So that should help them in their defence.
It does help, and in actual fact, where people have been arrested this morning carrying glue, you know, the last thing you want is protesters gluing themselves onto the street where the carriage is going to go past. So there is a very fine balance between policing and the security of the crowd and also the rights of the protesters.
Absolutely, because on playing the devil's advocate on the other side of it, there are people in this country that are not pro-monarchy, you know, and it is a right of protest in the United Kingdom. So when they come to contest that, when they talk about was it totally disruptive, we just heard there he was unloading a van full of flags, is that going to be enough to prosecute someone?
Absolutely, and this isn't just about today, this is about in 6 months' time, another demonstration or a protest, or in 6 years' time. So that law has to be tested, and it has to have that balance between the right to democracy and protest in this country.
And just in terms of the operation, I mean, clearly a huge police operation, but also a lot of crossover with the military forces as well. The Ministry of Defence sent us a briefing note keynote last night. I mean, it's extraordinary, isn't it, in its complexity and what actually they've done. And the fact is, as you rightly say, this has been in the planning for years and years and years and just tinkered with.
Absolutely, and it will continue to be looked at even throughout the day up until the event is finished and people have gone home this evening. They will continuously review and look at the intelligence coming in, and it is about the intelligence coming in, the public working with police and security, and that collaboration.
Parm Sandhu, it's been great getting your thoughts on this,
Thank
especially
you.
with this breaking news this morning.